Hi, I'm Josh Recording, and welcome to another Death Battle prediction video. But first, Killua versus Misaka. The episode basically went as everybody more or less thought it would. Killua didn't really have much of a chance in the long run. And just everything more or less played into Misaka's court there. One of the things that I didn't even mention last time is that there were so many abilities and stuff that Misaka had that she wouldn't even really need. Like, she could deprive him of oxygen and just kind of have him suffocate. And the animation was really good. It had a couple moments of like a little bit of the sprite jank, mostly with the skateboarding scene. That part kind of felt a little bit stilted in a way, but it was very good for a good chunk of it, and there were a lot of really cool shots throughout the last quarter of the fight. Basically, like the giant iron sand kaiju, the snake near the moon, and like all of the shot of her when she's calculating exactly where to shoot, and just holy shit, she exploded that boy. Just overall good episode. I don't really have too much to say in regards to it. Wasn't one that I was super heavily swinging for, but the next one, holy shit, that's awesome. So we have Raccoon versus Stitch, which is just sheerly the most amazing of matchups. It's, in my opinion, it is actually fairly one-sided, but it's still gonna be fucking awesome, because I'm gonna say it outright, a Stitch win is incredibly based. I cannot wait for people to find out how actually nonsense overpowered Stitch is. Because you watch the movie and you go, the alien is kind of strong and can juggle plasma shots and throw a car. But the Stitch anime exists, and the Stitch animated series as well. The animated series has a good amount, actually, of planet destruction. Richter is specifically stated to be able to crack a planet in half with his earthquakes. And then there was tsunamis from this one that does a lot of bouncing around and stuff like that. The tremors can cause basically giant tsunamis and stuff. But then we get to the anime, where all the limits are off. It just is hilariously overpowered. Stitch is point blank on two planets colliding and exploding. And then just the most hilarious one is just how many times Stitch has been in a fucking black hole. The best of which is when he rode a galaxy-busting missile into a black hole, which then exploded, and he used that explosion to shoot out of the black hole, which is, that's pretty nuts. It's a galaxy-level feat, and depending on your views on how well Stitch scales to his other brethren, there is actually one experiment. It was, I believe, 607, which is specifically stated that it is designed to warp the fabric of time and space, causing the entire universe to collapse upon itself. Now, this one doesn't actually show up in the series, but it is mentioned by Jumba as that being what it does. And for the most part, Jumba will brag a lot, but he's not usually wrong, especially with his own experiments. And he doesn't usually, overhype them, because let's face it, he called Stitch indestructible, and based on aforementioned galaxy-busting missile explosions, he didn't lie. He did a damn good job of making that little fluffy thing indestructible. So that basically puts you at galaxy to universe level Stitch, depending on if you buy Stitch just inherently being stronger than prior experiments, which there is an argument to be made for that, potentially. I would understand if they don't go with that, though. It is a little bit more loose. So then you have Rocket, who, for the most part, he is pretty consistently like a lot lower than that. He usually sticks around, like, he's mostly street level, to be honest. If you actually look at most of his comics, he's more dealing with like blowing up a city block and shit like that than the crazier shit. It's only when like a lot of the crossovers and stuff happen that he starts like cracking out like custom made weapons to deal with enemies. So it's possible he won't even really get a lot of his like stronger weaponry because they are specifically made for the situation. Which brings us to one of the cruxes of the argument is speed. So Rocket, basically, people go, hey, Marvel comic book character, he's gonna be massively faster than light from fighting this dude or that dude or whatever. So let's assume that he is massively faster than light. There are actually other MFTL feats for Stitch, actually. The red, I guess, police spaceship that he has goes to, like, a very distant place. In terms of, like, I believe they say that Earth is, like, way far off. Like, off in the corner, basically, which means that it should be, like, a pretty cross-galactic distance, which Stitch goes in, like, a day or two, at most. So that's massively faster than light. Like, that's gonna be plenty to keep up in terms of speed, which means that it's questionable if Rocket will even be able to use those advanced weaponry, the things that specifically target people like, say, Thanos, because there is a very common argument that Rocket made a gun that threatened Thanos, so even though it didn't actually harm Thanos, the threat was there, and then Thanos took it mildly seriously. If you use the argument there, though, the problem is that Thanos was not only in a weakened state, but he was also drastically injured. And just was not at full power at all. If I recall, they even specifically say that if Thanos was at full power, he wouldn't have like worried about it at all. So that kind of puts it into a bit of a more nebulous spot. If you're going with like a consistent Rocket, then I think the most that you would find that he would probably have stuff that destroys like moons and things like that, up to like planet. But that's the kind of the question of where exactly you're scaling him. If you go with a ton of one-time use or crossover weapons, then he might have something that can harm Stitch. The question is if he can consistently land it all before Stitch gets into melee and just literally tears him in half with no effort whatsoever. So the other thing, too, is that if Stitch sees that this weaponry is there, he has several kinds of spit, actually. One of which is EMP spit. He's got, like, glue spit and EMP spit that basically nullifies any electrical stuff. So the glue spit would be great for anything that's not electrical, and then the EMP one takes out the stuff that is. So I don't see Rocket having a lot of opportunities to harm Stitch, and then what few weapons he has that do will not do a very good job of staying in the fight for any extended period of time. Especially not before Stitch just kind of mauls him, like, very badly. Because that's one of the big caveats with Rocket being very reliant on his weaponry to reach those high levels of stats, is that a lot of the time, he doesn't match up to those stats. The gun does. So it leaves his durability still at a definitely lower than galaxy level point. And if you're referring to whether or not Stitch's attack potency would be able to keep up with essentially that galaxy level feat, or if it's just durability, there is a experiment called Dark End, if I recall, experiment 666, funny, who killed I think it was 5 clones of Stitch that were all exponentially stronger than he was, and this is after he already had the what's called the black hole galaxy busting feat. So yeah, he faced something stronger than them, and once he activated this kind of wish power that he has, where he like activates his core, and it makes him crazy powerful. It's basically a Super Saiyan transformation. He just one shots Dark End. Like, he just fucking decks him. It's not even close, and he just completely dominates the fight. So his AP would be equivalent to his durability in that case, if not significantly higher. There's, in my opinion, there's not that much of a too much of a debate here. Most of the debate is going to come down to speed and if Rocket has anything that can actually harm Thanos, which is a significantly more in-depth debate than Stitch walks over and down smashes and Rocket is dead. Yeah. So I don't see Rocket winning this one. That's all I got. I'm not too sure what the animation style is going to be for this one, but I'm pretty excited for it. This is opening up to have a lot of very good matchups for this season, and a lot of new series too, because Lilo and Stitch is another good one, assuming that they don't just lump it in under Disney. So, yeah, I'm down. I will see you guys for the next one.